I need you and like it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Street Talk with Eric. And today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. We're going to be talking about what's going on in the last couple of years where most of the states are starting to legalize marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to give you my opinion on the pros and cons of it, how it can help you, how it can maybe benefit you, or how it can be bad. The facts, the myths, and we're going to go over the whole thing today. So once again, I want you to hit that subscribe button and welcome back to the channel and like it. When I first started law enforcement work back in the 1990s, marijuana was known, it was illegal. I mean, we took people to jail for it. And of course, me, I've always been against it. I just didn't see any reason for a person to get high, just like a person going out there smoking cocaine. I just couldn't get it. But of course, as time went on, these medical professionals and stuff like this, they started saying, okay, well, it was beneficial to people with mental illness, people that had cancer. And of course, I was still against it because I guess I was just something I was ignorant to. I actually saw a couple of people who actually benefited from it. And one of them was mental illness, mood swings, bipolar. Bipolar is one of the biggest ones. What I encountered was people that was, they would just be off their rockers. I mean, just giving you such a hard time. They're starting fights with people and etc. They would smoke marijuana and it was like they would turn normal. Just like that. And I thought, man, that's incredible. Especially considering a person like me who's never smoked marijuana, and I was always against it. I mean, I was totally against it. I can't say that I'm 100% for it now, but I am leaning more towards, I think that it's kind of beneficial in some ways. I do think that it helps people with pain from what I've researched and done. I mean, a lot of it is, like I said, on my behalf, it was just something I was ignorant about. You know, I'm the police. It's illegal. You have no business with it. And I'm going to take your ass to jail. So if you look at the alcohol industry, it was once illegal also, you know, before the prohibition. But once that era hit, of course, you know, they started to figure out, okay, because alcohol, you know, the United States government once looked at alcohol as the worst drug on the planet. You know, so they went after people that was making illegal whiskey and stuff. They went after them with a vengeance. You know, back in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, alcohol is a central nervous depressant. I've drank before. I don't drink now, but I haven't drunk in 20 years. But when I was drinking something, when you first start drinking it, you probably feel good. But then the more you drink and as time progresses, as the night go on, you start to feel kind of down. And I've seen people just sit there and you're drinking and you have a good time. All of a sudden, they just start crying. Just for no reason. I think alcohol is extremely addictive, in my opinion. I think it's also, in my opinion, I think it's also a scientific fact. It's very addictive. It's also a gateway to other narcotics. It always has been. Because most people, if you're not smoking marijuana for some type of chronic illness like cancer, AIDS patients use it. They use it for the pain because they're in so much pain. A mental illness. If you're not using it for a medical purpose, then most people in America, I would say as high as 95% of people in America are wanting to use marijuana for the purpose of getting high. It's only so much time you're going to be able to keep smoking marijuana without needing more. You may start off with one joint, or a lot of times they call it today, what do they call it? They call it a blunt. You may only be able to, you may start off smoking one or two. You know, soon after that, you're going to need more. You're going to need more because your body's going to build up a tolerance to it. It's controlled by gang members. It used to be a time when you just had just your drug dealers in general. But as we know, just like your cocaine and anything else that's coming from Central America or South America, all of it's controlled by, we want to say, well, it's controlled by the drug cartel. Actually, it's controlled by the gangs, really, because that's who control it. That's who control all of your illegal narcotics mostly.
So do you think legalizing it will get rid of most of the gang violence?
No, I don't think so. Well, in my opinion, with the marijuana, I think if they legalize it, you know what? I got a different opinion. If they legalize it across the board. Now, let's just do it this way. If they're talking about just for medical purposes, then no, it's not going to help the gang problem. No, it's going to be the same as it always been. Because you're going to have the people out there they don't have a medical card, so they're going to have to go get it illegally. And they can get all they want. Because if you get it for a medical purpose, they're only going to give you certain amounts of it. Same thing with painkillers, right?
Or other.
But now, I will have to say this, as far as marijuana is concerned. Now, this is just my personal opinion. If they legalize marijuana across the board, just like beer, you know, whiskey, where you can just walk into a store and if you want marijuana, you can just walk in there and buy it. Just show your ID to show you're 21, you can buy it. Then I think it's going to cut out the middleman. I think it's going to cut out the drug dealers because the U.S. government is going to step in. The United States government is going to tax it. And that's, in my opinion, just going back to, the government being involved in the legalization of it. In my opinion, the government just wants to make money. They don't care about you or me or the public. They just want to make money. It's just that nobody has the galls or the balls really to stand up and tell the truth and face it. They just know how to hide and, oh, I'm not going to say this, I'm not going to say that. Well, I don't have that problem because I'll tell you. Well, if they legalize it across the board, like I said again, where you can just walk in and buy just if you want to buy a 6-pack of beer, I think it would kind of slow it down a little bit, simply because it's going to slow it down a lot. Because the government is going to have facilities where it's going to slow down people getting injured, hurt, dying, because the government is going to put a regulation on it. And they're going to say, well, okay, you got to have stipulations. You got to have a clean facility. You got to have this, and you got to have this, and you got to have equipment. You got to have all this stuff cleaned up. And they're going to have health inspectors and stuff coming in, and they're going to regulate it. Just like they do. It's going to probably be, in my opinion, probably it's going to be regulated by the same people who, the USDA. Or the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Probably those people are going to regulate it. Now, on the other hand, you was asking me about the drug dealers and the sanitary of these drug dealers. They are very nasty, and I think most people that's smoking these drugs and stuff, they have no idea. And I know right now there's a lot of people that's sitting here saying, well, how do you know? You're just the police. Well, because we have undercover officers and stuff that have infiltrated these drug cartels, and they've had am I supposed to say it? I mean, they know it too. They've had these hidden cameras inside, and they show exactly what they do. And as far as talking about fentanyl, whether it come down to marijuana, cocaine, any of it, and this is going to step outside of me being the police. It's also with me having the strength of street knowledge. Most of them are just like cocaine back in the day. Most cocaine was cut with baking soda. When it hit the streets to be crack cocaine, it was cut with baking soda. So that the drug dealer could take a small amount and sell more. He could cut it. Well, now the drug dealer has become just like the United States government. They want to make money. So now what they've done is say, okay, well, if you're a drug dealer and I'm a drug dealer, I don't want my clientele going to you. I want them to come back to me. Well, I'm going to have to fix my drugs up to where it costs you to get high as the sky. So you can say, he's got some good stuff. I'm going back to him. Well, that's where the fentanyl comes in at. That's when they started cutting the drugs with the fentanyl, because fentanyl has an effect on the body that marijuana or cocaine would not have back. Fentanyl can kill you with just one little drop the size of a tip of a pin. It can kill you. It can go through your skin. There's a lot of nurses and stuff have been working on gunshot victims that was drug dealers or gangbangers and stuff, and they had been selling this drug and they had it on their clothes. And the nurses doctors and stuff have passed out in the ER. We had a police officer. He had a suspect. He took to jail. He transported the guy. The officer felt good. The guy had got caught with some cocaine. And the officer, from my understanding of it, he went back. He stopped to get a cup of coffee. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. He parked to kind of update his reports and things. And all of a sudden, the officer fell asleep. And of course, the dispatcher's trying to give him a call. They're looking for him. They're trying to raise him on the radio. They start putting officers in the area looking for him. He won't answer. From what I can remember of it, they put up an airship, which is a helicopter. Start searching for him, and they found his squad car. But they found the officer, and the officer was unconscious. He was unresponsive. And once they got him to the emergency room, they found out he had been exposed to fentanyl. And it just come from him just touching the guy's clothes and transporting him. And from my understanding, the officer was wearing gloves, from what I was told. I heard it went through the gloves. So you know damn well if it go through the glove, it'll go through your skin. It will kill you. But yet you have these kids out here in the street. They're smoking marijuana. They're throwing cocaine up their nose. And they have no idea what these drug dealers are putting in it. Because the drug dealers, they don't give a shit about you or me or anybody else. They just want to make money. And that's the bottom line. I think they should. At this point right now, I'm starting to think, and like I said before, I'll reiterate one more time. I was totally against marijuana. I was one of those people, I was an advocate against it. There was nothing you could tell me. But now I'm starting to lean more towards, when I saw it benefits of people, I'm 99% sure that they should just go ahead and just legalize it across the board. And that's my opinion. Well, once you legalize marijuana, if you legalize it across the board again, I think people are going to come out in drones and they're going to buy it. Just like they buy alcohol. I think the marijuana sales are going to supersede the alcohol sales.
Since you bring alcohol up, okay, were you ever involved in a fight with somebody who's drunk?
Yes, many a times.
What about somebody's high and weak? Just weed alone.
I'm going to be honest with you. I said this when we start doing this channel. I said I would always be honest. You know what? I fought a lot of drunk ass people. God, drunk ass people. They're the worst. I fought a lot of people that was high on crack cocaine. I fought a lot of people that was high on methamphetamines and PCPs. But you know what? Out of 20 something years of being a law enforcement officer, I can't remember a time I actually fought anybody on marijuana. They was mostly just like, I've ran across people that were just high on weed, and they just said, man, go on, put the handcuffs on it, man.
So,
That's just the truth. I would probably rather deal with somebody just high on marijuana, as long as they're not using some other illicit drug. Because, a lot of times people use illicit drugs, along with other drugs. But if it's just a person that just smoke weed, and mostly mellows people out, and they pretty much just turn around and go with you. I would rather deal with the person that's on just smoke 5 blunts than to screw around with somebody who's drunk 1 6-pack of alcohol. That's the truth. Marijuana's never hurt anybody. I gotta tell the truth. It's never hurt anybody. And that's something I've never done a day in my life. And I grew up in the damn projects, but I ain't never smoked marijuana a day in my life. However, I will say this much: I've never known it to hurt anybody. I ain't gonna lie.
Because let's be realistic, painkillers are highly addictive.
They are.
Opiates.
And they're deadly. I think, you know what? Rather than to get hooked on something that I can't get off of, because marijuana is addictive too. However, you can phase marijuana out. I've heard a lot of people say, yes, it's addictive, but you can phase it out. You can get off of it. But those painkillers, I've heard people say it's damn near impossible to get off of it.
Yeah.
I mean, nearly impossible. So the more addictive it is, that's what the street drugs, the street pharmacists, we used to call them.
Is it different?
That's what they do with the marijuana in the street. That's what they do with all of it. That's the point of using fentanyl. They make it more addictive, so you'll keep coming back to me. They're nothing but thugs in a suit. These pharmaceutical companies, they just rob the shit out of you. They knew a long time ago that marijuana was beneficial. I believe I feel the federal government, they knew it. They just didn't know how to make Americans accept it, especially in the southern part of the United States, because you got the Bible Belt. They wasn't gonna, let's legalize marijuana because people that's in this biblical, it was too extreme. So but they've always thought about it. You got to believe me. They've always thought about, shit, how can we get this and, stamp it and tax it and make it legal?
Oregon, on the other hand, went the extra mile and legalized everything. Cocaine.
Yeah, they did. I saw that. Yep, they sure did.
Now, from a political perspective, I'm not going to go for the right. I'm not going to go for the left. But just hear me out on this. You know that fentanyl's bad, right? You know that crack cocaine is bad. If somebody comes up to you, hey, sir, would you like to try this? What are you going to say? No, right? Because you know better.
That's right.
So why should the government tell you, hey, do this or don't do this? It should be your choice, right?
It should be. I saw a piece of footage where they legalized certain amounts of cocaine, marijuana. I think it was even if you had heroin. I think the state of Oregon. From what I saw on that piece of footage, they pretty much legalized it to a certain extent, as long as you don't have a large quantity of it. You can quote me if I'm wrong, or you can correct me if I'm wrong. But if you get like a small amount of it, it's not even an arrestable offense in the state of Oregon. I think the legislators in that state probably looked at it and said, this is not helping people. I think what they did also is they're starting to stump out the drug dealer. I think that's what they're starting to do. I mean, some kind of way, if you take the legal aspect out of it, it makes the drug pusher kind of scale back, because then now there's no more, because I don't know a whole lot about Oregon laws. I don't know I don't want to sit here and act like I'm some kind of expert on Oregon. Like I just said, I just saw a piece of footage on it. I do know different states, their legislators have different little tweaks and laws and stuff. But you can better believe the government had a reason why they done it. You can better believe they had some type of reason. Now, this is just my opinion. I think the state of Oregon probably has found out a way to say, well, okay, if you got people that's using these drugs, let's not arrest them. Let's get them some type of help. So what that done, in my opinion, they opened up an avenue for all of these counselors and stuff to have more job opportunities, because it's money. So now, if I can legalize it, these people won't be afraid to come forward and say, look, I need some help. Well, they act like they care, but they don't really care. What that did was open up job opportunities and stuff for people that's going to be counselors, that operate these facilities, these halfway houses for people. There's a reason why they done it. And the prison systems are overcrowded. So it would keep a lot of people out of prison for non-violent offenses. What you're going to start to see in the future in the United States, I think you're going to start to see drug offenses across the board. If they're small drug offenses, if you get caught with something, law enforcement is really going to turn a blind eye to it, or they're going to legalize it in small amounts. It's going to clear up the prison system. And I think they're going to be more focused on violent offenders such as rapists. I think that's going to clear up a lot of jail space. I do agree, because even though by me being a police officer, and I've probably arrested a whole lot of thousands of people probably, for drug offenses. Did I do the right thing? Yeah. I don't think a person needs to spend the rest of their life in prison because they got caught with 2 or 3 bags of marijuana. I don't think that's right. I think maybe, it's supposed to be a learning lesson, maybe, if they gave them 30 days, 60 days or something like that. But there's some states who have just hammered people. I don't agree with that. And people assume that the police write the laws. We don't write the law. We just enforce them. The same people that y'all vote in office write the law. The mayors, the city councilmen, the commissioners, the state legislators, the governor, all the way up to the president of the United States. They are your lawmakers. What they do is they just make these laws and then they hide as if they're the good guys, and they put the police officer on the forefront and tell them, go enforce it. So now you as the public, you're angry with the law enforcement officer, and the officer sitting there going, look, I'm just doing what they told me to do. But people are acting as if the police officer actually made the law and go, well, I'm going to make this law so I can go out and arrest you. No, because we don't agree with all this shit either sometimes. There's a lot of laws that was on the book I didn't agree with. I remember this young man, he had some marijuana on him. He didn't run. He didn't fight with me. He just said, officer, he said, if you got to take me to jail, he said, that's fine. He said, I'm not a bad guy. He said, I'm selling this weed. He said, because I got a little girl at home. And he said, we have nothing to eat. He said, this is how I feed her. Immediately, I think he was one of those guys, and I thought he was some thug at first, the way he looked, but he came across intelligent. I quickly reflected back to my childhood. I looked past me being the police and looked past the uniform I had on, and I quickly went back to my childhood, remembering me not having anything. And I remember if the drug pusher had came and put some drugs in my hand, I probably would have sold them. Not because I was a bad guy. It was because so I could put shoes and clothes on my feet. And that's the truth. Yes, I do think a lot of police officers have turned a blind eye to marijuana before, because I have. They should legalize it across the board. I think so. I think they should legalize it across the board. I think it'll cut out a lot of these people dying from it, because these drug pushers are putting this fentanyl shit in it. I think they should legalize it all across the board, and I want everybody to know what I do. Well, once again, I love y'all. Thank you for watching my video. I hope it helped somebody. I hope it's been informative. And once again, I need you to share this video, like it, subscribe to it, and I'm gonna bring you some more footage. And we're gonna always tell the truth. We're not gonna sugarcoat things, because knowledge is power. See y'all in the next video.